Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hidden Korea. Today, we uncover a moment that has shaken the entire entertainment world, an incident so shocking that fans are still struggling to process it. At a press event filled with cameras, reporters, and high expectations, Junho suddenly broke down in tears, and the atmosphere changed instantly. But the real twist? Yoona's family was present, and everything spiraled into chaos the moment Chaemin's name was mentioned. What truly happened behind those trembling voices? Stunned expressions? And explosive reactions? Stay with us, because we're diving into every detail right now. The atmosphere inside the press hall was tense long before anything happened. Cameras were already clicking non-stop. Reporters whispering to each other with growing anticipation. And fans holding their breath as Junho stepped onto the stage. He looked calm, too calm, his expression carefully composed. But those who followed him closely sensed something was off. His eyes flickered with an emotion that felt heavier than nervousness. Heavier than stage pressure. There was something deeper. Something trembling beneath the surface. Yoona's family had arrived quietly and taken seats in the front row. Their presence causing a subtle but unmistakable shift in the room's energy. They weren't smiling. They weren't relaxed. Their expressions were firm, observing. Almost as though they were waiting for something they feared or already knew. Junho noticed them the moment he walked in. And his steps faltered. Just for a fraction of a second. But enough for sharp-eyed viewers to catch. The host opened the event with practiced cheerfulness. But even she could not mask the tension vibrating through the venue. Junho tried to answer the first few questions professionally. But his voice trembled slightly. Betraying the calm exterior he struggled to maintain. Fans in the live stream chat immediately picked up on it. Why does he look so stressed? Is he okay? Something's wrong with Junho. The comments poured in faster than the cameras could flash. Then came the question that detonated the fragile silence like a bomb. Junho SSI, there have been recent rumors involving you, Yoona, and actor Chaemin. Comment on your connection with Chaemin. The entire hall froze. Reporters stopped typing mid-sentence. Some inhaled sharply. Others leaned forward, sensing that this moment might explode into the biggest headline of the year. Yoona's family stiffened instantly, their eyes locking onto Junho with a mixture of shock and something unspoken, disbelief, concern, fear. Junho blinked rapidly, his composure cracking open like thin ice under too much pressure. His throat worked, but no sound came out at first. He tried to answer, but his voice broke. The microphone picked up the tremor of his breath. The camera zoomed in mercilessly, capturing every detail, his clenched jaw, his trembling lips, the split-second panic flashing in his eyes. And then, in the most unexpected moment of his public career, Junho began to cry. Not the polite, controlled tears of a celebrity under stress, these were real tears, sharp, heavy, unstoppable. He lowered his head, shoulders shaking slightly, as reporters stared at him with widened eyes. The crowd gasped as if the world had tilted. Fans watching the stream were thrown into a frenzy, typing messages so fast the chat became unreadable. The host tried to intervene, but Junho raised a trembling hand as if to say he needed a moment before continuing. He wiped his eyes, lifted his face, and the raw vulnerability in his expression struck everyone silent. He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, a murmur rose from the audience. Yoona's family exchanged glances, concerned, tense, utterly stunned. The chaos escalated when a reporter, bold or reckless, asked, "Is Chaemin involved in the issue that made you emotional today?" Junho's reaction was immediate and devastating. His eyes widened with a mixture of fear and anguish. His lips parted. But instead of words, another wave of emotion crashed over him. The mention of Chaemin, just his name, was enough to shatter Junho's fragile control. He gripped the edge of the podium, trying to steady himself, breathing shakily as tears welled up again. The room erupted. Some reporters shouted questions simultaneously. Others whispered to each other in frantic shock. The cameras kept flashing as if this was the moment they had all been waiting for. The entire hall felt like a volcano on the verge of eruption, filled with questions, accusations, and rising panic. Yoona's family looked absolutely stunned. One of them pressed a hand over their mouth in disbelief. Another leaned forward urgently, as if attempting to read Junho's expression more closely. Their reaction only fueled the chaos. They were shocked. Then something truly serious was happening, something no one had expected. As Junho attempted to speak again, voice finally cracked into the microphone, trembling yet filled with a strange resolve. There are things I wanted to protect. The hall went silent once more. Those words, simple yet loaded, hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Junho looked as though the weight of the entire moment was crushing him. But he forced himself to stand, gripping the podium as if it were the only thing anchoring him to reality. The world waited for the truth. But what came next was even more explosive. Part 2. The moment Junho whispered those haunting words, the hall seemed to shrink around him. The lights felt harsher. The cameras felt closer. The eye in the room was locked onto him, waiting for the slightest movement, the faintest hint. The truth behind his breaking point. Junho inhaled shakily. But before he could continue, a reporter shouted from the back, his voice loud enough to slice through the tense air. Is this about your relationship with Yoona? Or is Chaemin involved in a deeper way? Gasps filled the room. Junho froze. His family stared with eyes wide and sharp, as if that single question cut open a wound they hoped wouldn't be exposed. Junho pressed his lips together, fighting back the tremor threatening to escape his chest. And his shoulders grew heavier, as if the world itself had suddenly grown darker around him. And then, in a voice low and fragile, he whispered, Chaemin didn't deserve this. Chaos erupted instantly. Reporters bolted from their chairs, yelling questions over each other. Fans watching online sent platforms into overload. It exploded into a frenzy of disbelief and panic. Some screamed for answers. Others begged the press to stop pushing him. He simply typed Chaemin's name repeatedly in utter confusion. Junho tried to speak above the noise. The moment was already spiraling out of control. He stepped back from the podium, breathing heavily, eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. One camera caught the exact second his expression shifted from fear to heartbreak. And that clip alone spread across social media like wildfire. Yoona's family remained frozen, one relative clutching the armrest tightly, another shaking their head slowly in disbelief. Reactions only amplified the chaos. If they were shocked this deeply, then something bigger was hiding beneath the surface. The host attempted to restore order. The roar only grew louder when the side door suddenly opened, drawing every gaze toward it. A staff member rushed in, whispering to the event coordinators with an urgency that triggered a new wave of speculation. Was Chaemin here? Was Yoona coming? Had something happened backstage? Junho wiped his face with the back of his hand, but the exhaustion in his eyes made him look years older. Stepped forward again, gripping the microphone with trembling fingers. I never meant for it to reach this point, he said, his voice cracking at the edges. To protect her, and him, but everything has become twisted. The room exploded once more. Him. Who is he referring to? A love triangle? A family issue? A scandal? Reporters went wild. Fans online lost their minds. Theories exploding every second. Looked overwhelmed, but determined, like someone who knew he was finally cornered by a truth too painful to keep hidden. Then came the moment that would dominate headlines for days. A reporter asked bluntly, is Chaemin the reason behind your emotional breakdown today? Junho didn't speak. He didn't shake his head or deny it. He simply closed his eyes. Silence was louder than any confession. The press hall erupted into pure chaos. Some reporters ran toward the stage, shouted into their microphones. Fans online screamed in disbelief. Yoona's family exchanged glances filled with shock, heartbreak, and something that looked dangerously close to dread. Security rushed to the stage as Junho took a step back, visibly shaking. A staff member approached him cautiously. He lifted a hand, signaling he could stand on his own. His face was streaked with tears, but his voice carried a painful determination as he whispered into the microphone one last time. I'm sorry, to everyone. But the truth will come out soon. And with that, he left the stage. The room fell into stunned silence as the cameras followed him disappearing behind the curtain, leaving a trail of unanswered questions, shattered expectations, and a storm that was only just beginning. By the time the event ended, 3 names were all the world could talk about. Junho, Yoona, Chaemin, and the chaos had only just begun. By the next morning, the fallout from the chaotic press event had grown into a full-blown storm that no one, fans, reporters, even industry insiders, could escape. Sites buzzed with contradictory theories. Social media collapsed under the weight of speculation. And the three names at the center of it all, Junho, Yoona, Chaemin, were everywhere. The most explosive moment was yet to come. At exactly 8:42 a.m., a new clip surfaced online, taken from a backstage camera angle no one had ever seen before. The video began moments after Junho walked off stage, tears still streaking his face. He stumbled into the hallway, one hand pressed against the wall as if the weight of the world was crushing his chest. A staff member tried to approach him. He shook his head, mumbling, "I just need a second." Then the camera caught something that sent the entire internet into meltdown. From the opposite side of the corridor, Chaemin appeared. Not smiling. Not confused. Tense, almost haunted. His jaw was clenched. His eyes fixed on the floor. His steps heavy with something far darker than nerves. When he looked up and saw Junho standing there, the expression on his face froze. Shock, guilt, and something heartbreakingly raw flickered through his eyes. It was only 1 second, but that single second detonated the entire entertainment world. Junho lifted his head slowly. Their eyes met. Between them tightened like a wire ready to snap. Viewer held their breath as Chaemin stepped forward, voice trembling as he whispered, "Hyung, this wasn't supposed to happen." Ho swallowed hard, the pain in his expression unmistakable. Voice cracked as he replied, "Then why did you let it?" Chaos exploded across the internet. Fans replayed the clip thousands of times, analyzing every frame, every breath, every word. Headlines erupted in all caps. Speculation skyrocketed: betrayal, hidden conflict, a secret the public wasn't meant to know. But the moment that broke every heart came next. Chaemin stepped closer, his voice barely audible. "I tried to protect you too." Junho's shoulders collapsed. For a moment, he looked like a man who had been holding a burden too heavy for far too long. His eyes glistened with a fresh wave of tears as he whispered, "And why does it feel like I'm losing everything?" Silence. Pain. Shock. Then, Yoona's family appeared at the end of the hallway. The camera caught their reaction, the stunned disbelief, the confusion, the fierce concern. One of them called Junho's name. Another looked sharply at Chaemin, as if demanding answers he couldn't give. The tension thickened until it felt like the hallway itself might crack under the emotional weight. Junho wiped his face quickly, and failing to compose himself. Chaemin took a step back, guilt shadowing his expression. Yoona's family moved forward, but no one spoke, as if the truth lay somewhere between the three men. Painful to speak aloud and too dangerous to reveal. The clip ended abruptly, but the damage was done. Screamed, cried, panicked. News outlets declared it the most shocking backstage leak of the decade. Theories took over the internet at lightning speed, one more dramatic than the last. Agencies scrambled. Journalists went silent. No one dared release a statement. And in the center of that roaring hurricane stood Junho, broken, vulnerable, and carrying a truth that threatened to tear apart everything he had ever tried to protect. The world now waited for one thing. Would it speak first? And when the truth finally came out, would it destroy everything? And just like that, the storm surrounding Junho, Yoona's family, and Chaemin reaches its chilling pause, a moment suspended between truth and silence. Heartbreak and revelation. The tears, the unfinished words lingering in that backstage hallway have left the entire entertainment world breathless. What really happened between them? What truth was Junho trying to protect? And why did Chaemin's presence ignite such an emotional collapse? These questions now echo everywhere, unanswered, heavy, impossible to ignore. But one thing is certain, this story is far from over. The secret they carry, whatever it is, will eventually surface. And when it does, it may not just reshape careers, rewrite relationships in ways no one could have predicted. Thank you for joining us on this intense, unforgettable journey here at Hidden Korea. Your curiosity, your passion, support are what allow us to continue bringing you the most shocking, emotional, and explosive stories from the heart of Korean entertainment. Stay tuned, because the next twist might be even more unbelievable.